Shakira Isabel Mubarak Rapol is one of the most extraordinary global artists of the modern era. A woman whose voice, rhythm, intelligence, and cultural influence changed the landscape of pop music forever and redefined what it meant to be an international superstar. She was born on February 2, 1977 in Barranquilla, a vibrant port city on Colombia's Caribbean coast, to a Lebanese father, William Mubarak Chedid, and a Colombian mother, Nidia Rapol Tirado. And from the very beginning, her life was shaped by a powerful blend of Middle Eastern heritage, Latin tradition, and artistic curiosity. As the youngest child in her family, Shakira grew up observing the world deeply, absorbing stories, emotions, and sounds that would later become the foundation of her songwriting. Her father introduced her to poetry and literature at a very young age, and by the time she was 4 years old, she had already written her first poem, while music became her emotional language before she could fully understand its power. As a child, Shakira was known for her intense imagination and emotional depth, qualities that often made her feel different from other children. She began writing songs at the age of 8 and quickly developed a deep connection to performance, not as a desire for fame, but as a need for expression. One of the most defining moments of her childhood occurred when her father took her to a Middle Eastern restaurant, where the sound of traditional drums immediately awakened something instinctive within her. She climbed onto a table and began belly dancing without instruction, guided only by rhythm and emotion. And from that moment, dance became inseparable from her identity. This fusion of Latin and Middle Eastern movement would later become one of her most iconic trademarks, setting her apart in a world full of imitation. Despite her raw talent, Shakira's early years were filled with rejection and misunderstanding. At school, she was often excluded from choir performances because teachers believed her vibrato was too strong and unusual, a judgment that deeply affected her confidence, but never extinguished her determination. Rather than conforming, Shakira leaned into her uniqueness, unknowingly shaping the very sound that would later define her career. When she was just 13 years old, her talent caught the attention of a Sony music executive, leading to her first recording contract, a moment that felt like the beginning of a dream, but soon revealed itself to be only the start of a long and difficult journey. Her debut album, Maya, released in the early 1990s, was a collection of songs she had written during childhood and early adolescence. And while it showcased her potential, it failed to achieve commercial success. Her second album, Peligro, followed shortly after and faced a similar fate. For many young artists, such early failures would have ended their ambitions, but for Shakira, they became lessons in resilience. She returned to Colombia, stepped away from the spotlight, and focused intensely on writing, studying, and refining her artistry. She became deeply involved in every aspect of her music, from lyrics to composition, determined to never be molded into something she was not. This period of self-discovery led to her true breakthrough in 1995 with the release of Pies Descalzos, an album that revealed her soul to the world. The record was raw, poetic, rebellious, and emotionally honest, touching on themes of identity, love, faith, and social awareness. Songs like Estoy Aquí resonated deeply with listeners across Latin America, and Shakira was suddenly recognized not just as a singer, but as a serious songwriter with a powerful voice and a fearless perspective. The album's success transformed her into a household name and proved that authenticity could triumph over industry expectations. Her momentum continued with Donde Están los Ladrones, an album widely regarded as one of the greatest Latin pop albums of all time. It explored themes of corruption, media manipulation, heartbreak, and personal strength, all wrapped in bold melodies and experimental sounds. Shakira's confidence as an artist was now unmistakable, and her performances became more intense, expressive, and commanding. Yet even as she reached the top of the Latin music world, Shakira felt that her story was far from complete. She dreamed of a global audience and believed that language should not be a barrier to emotional connection. Determined to cross over into the English-speaking market, Shakira taught herself English fluently, studying lyrics, poetry, and grammar late into the night, translating her own thoughts rather than relying on external writers. This decision was risky, as many Latin artists before her had struggled to maintain authenticity while appealing to a broader audience. In 2001, she released Laundry Service, an album that changed everything. Featuring global hits like Whenever, Wherever, the album blended pop, rock, Latin folk, and Middle Eastern influences into a sound that felt entirely new. The world was introduced not just to her music, but to her confidence, her dance, and her unapologetic individuality. Laundry Service sold millions of copies worldwide and turned Shakira into an international phenomenon. Her hips became a cultural symbol, her voice instantly recognizable, and her presence impossible to ignore. Unlike many pop stars, Shakira was not defined by trends. She created her own. She followed this success with Oral Fixation, Volume 1 and Volume 2, albums that balanced Spanish and English expression, producing iconic songs like La Tortura and Hips Don't Lie, the latter becoming one of the best-selling singles in music history and cementing her dominance on global charts. As her fame grew, so did her influence. Shakira became known not only for her music, but for her intelligence and discipline. She speaks multiple languages fluently and has consistently demonstrated a deep interest in education, philosophy, and global issues. In 1997, long before her global superstardom, she founded the Pies Descalzos Foundation, dedicated to providing education, nutrition, and safety to underprivileged children in Colombia. Her humanitarian work was not a publicity move, but a deeply personal mission rooted in empathy and lived experience, eventually earning her recognition as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. Shakira's live performances evolved into spectacular displays of storytelling, blending music, dance, and emotion into unforgettable experiences. Her world tours sold out stadiums across continents, and her performances at global events, including the Super Bowl halftime show, showcased her ability to command massive audiences while honoring her cultural roots. Even as trends shifted and the music industry transformed, Shakira adapted without losing her essence, collaborating with younger artists and embracing new sounds while staying grounded in authenticity. Her personal life, often exposed under the relentless spotlight of fame, became another chapter in her story of resilience. Through love, motherhood, and public heartbreak, Shakira remained deeply connected to her art, using music as a form of healing and empowerment. Rather than retreating during difficult times, she returned with renewed strength, releasing music that reflected independence, self-worth, and emotional honesty, resonating with millions who saw their own struggles reflected in her journey. Today, Shakira stands as a global icon whose legacy extends far beyond music charts and awards. She is a symbol of perseverance, cultural pride, and fearless self-expression, a woman who broke barriers for Latin artists and redefined global pop culture. From a barefoot girl dancing to drums in Barranquilla, to a world-changing artist whose influence spans generations. Shakira's life is a testament to the power of belief, discipline, and authenticity. Her story is not just about success, but about staying true to oneself in a world that constantly tries to reshape you. A story that continues to inspire millions and is proudly revealed on Life Revealed 1.